Hi guys, and welcome back to another PD session that I'm running today on end of year. Now we'll be going over end of year quite a bit because we're getting closer to the end of the year, and in that we just want to get you guys familiar with the steps that you need to take, either coming towards your last day of school this year, or you can take this on in the new year as well when you're in before all the kids are in. So there are a few things that you want to be focusing on when it comes to end of year or start of year procedures. Those will include things like updating your loan limits, your final borrowing dates, removing patrons, as well as adding new patrons to the system. We can also touch on some overdue stuff. I will be doing another overdue report / emailing session next week. I know it's very close to the end of the year, but I want to get that out because the last one I did, there was a few technical difficulties. Alrighty, so let's jump in and we'll start with our loan periods. Okay, so before you begin, as always, make sure you're logged in as an administrator, or else you won't have any access to what I'm about to show you. From the menu, now we'll look at our patrons' loan limits first. Then we'll jump into things like your loan types, your renewal types, anywhere that will have a final borrowing date to set. So let's jump straight to configuration, and then to authority editor. This is the section you'll do most of your back-end changes. That will be, as you can see, audience. From this drop down on the left, we have quite a few options. You have your holiday dates. It's another thing. If you do holiday dates, you want to be making sure that you're adding in next year's holiday dates. Another thing with holiday dates is if you don't use fines in your library, holiday dates are pretty much not that useful unless you also allow students or staff to loan items over the school holidays. We'll come to that in a little bit. So first thing I want you to look for is your class grade. This will list all of your year levels. For those who don't know or are new to the system, your class grade will contain all of your loan limits for students. So if you're in grade 1, hit the edit button, you'll set your loan limits. That'll then filter down to anyone with the classification or year level or class grade, of 1. So you can clearly see here I have a final borrowing date set for next year. Same with my expiry date. So again, for those who are new to the system, final borrowing date means that circulation will not go past that date. So for example, it should be set to tomorrow, 1st of the 12th, 2022, or any day that you must have all library books back by. Most sites like to do it a week or 2 weeks before the final day so that they can chase kids up while they're still at school. So set that final borrowing date. Now, if you're still circulating from today onwards, I wouldn't touch your final borrowing date unless, obviously, it's set to tomorrow and you want to loan stuff out throughout next week and the week after. You'll want to update that to something like the 21st. That, for me, would be cutting it pretty close. So I'd probably go the 12th. It gives me a week to chase books up. Anything that you loan out from today, for example, to a grade 1 student, will come back, will be due back on the 12th. No matter if it's a yearly loan, a fortnightly loan, if it's a daily loan, then obviously it won't reach that day. But for those longer periods, anything you loan out will be due back on that day. Now, if for whatever reason you've stopped circulating books for the year, you can go ahead and update this to next year's date. So of course each state's different on when they stop when students stop coming to school and so on and so forth. But for testing purposes, I'm going to set it to 12th of the 12th, 2023. Okay. Now expiry, I always set to be exactly the same. That way I don't have any issues when students are coming in. Okay, I'll hit that save button. As soon as I hit that save, those new dates now filter down to those students with the class grade of 1 assigned to them in patron management. Alrighty. So that's your first section that you want to update. Okay. Next thing I want to show you guys, which a lot of people aren't aware of, is your loan type. Okay, each loan type requires a final borrowing date as well. Okay, so definitely come in here, check your final borrowing dates for each loan type that you have. Okay, and just update it. Simple. Hit the pencil and paper, and you'll hit whatever date that you want that to be. Save, and then it's done. So if you were to loan anything out, you're not going to run into any issues in the new year with final borrowing dates or due dates. Okay, so that's your other area you definitely want to have a look at. All right, so they're the two areas that you want to be updating your final borrowing dates on. Okay. The next thing you want to be focusing on is your patrons. Okay, so your patrons, you want to have either, it's a bit hard if you don't have the most up-to-date CSV file for the year, for next year, sorry. But if you magically have that information, it doesn't really matter. You can do patron imports as often as you like. So you can have next year's list today. Obviously that's going to change closer to next year as more students come on board. But like I said, you can run as many patron imports as you want as you're working. Okay, so first things first is you do want to have a CSV file. Okay, now the changeover process that we like to go through, or that I like to tell people to do, is in configuration, global functions. Don't mind all the other options we have there. This is our test site. You won't see all those. And then inside patron, okay, in the functions created by FSI section. Okay, now you want to look for move patrons by classification and by homeroom. Okay, now why do I want to do this? So the process I like to show people and walk them through is moving everyone, so all students that is. You can do staff as well, but it's very unlikely that you're going to have a CSV file that contains both your staff and your students. So I like to do them one at a time. But I focus on my students first. Staff can happen at any time. So you want to move all patrons, all students, to a new classification of left 2022, okay, or whatever year we're in. The reason we do that is that when we then import our patrons, okay, anyone that has left for the year, or at the end of the year, gone to a different school, so on and so forth, that leaves those patrons in their own classification and homeroom of left 2022. That way, next year when you're going through, reports and stuff like that, you can report on who has items still on loan from previous years. And when you do the patron import, everyone that is active in your school, okay, will then get moved to the correct classification and homeroom via the import. Okay, so it's a clean way of updating your patrons, making sure that anyone that's left is always segregated from your current year levels and homerooms. That way when you're running reports, you're not chasing items that have been lost because those patrons are no longer at your school. Okay, so it's very important before you do your patron import to move everyone to left. Okay, that way when you do your patron import, either at the end of the year or at the start of the year, you're getting fresh patrons coming across, and everyone that's no longer there are all segregated and you can report on them separately. Alright, so first thing you want to do is select move patrons by classification, click open. Okay, it's asking you to search for the class grades, so the year levels. So you'll go ahead and select the year levels you want to move. Okay, you just want to make sure that you're doing all of your student year levels. We don't want to be moving our staff. Okay, let's pretend that's all of them. Okay, and then I want to hit search at the bottom. This will show me those patrons in those classifications or year levels and allow me to then move them to a new one. Okay, so I've gone through it saying, yep, that's correct, I'm happy with that. I can then go down the bottom and hit change. Okay, it's asking me what new class grade do you want me to move them to. Okay, you can search through your existing classifications. You can see I've got a left 2022 there. Okay, or if you can't find one that you want, you can create one. Okay, so it'll tell you there's no results. I'll hit the plus symbol. It's telling me it's not there. Would you like to add it? Yes, I would. Okay, it will take you to this page so that you can assign final borrowing date, expiry date. Okay, it won't save without those those options. So I'll just set it to today because it doesn't really matter. Hit save. Go back to my global change. It's sitting there. Okay. Once I've confirmed that I'm happy with that, I'll hit update. Okay, it's going to tell me everyone in class grades, blah, move to the new one here. Hit confirm. Okay, successfully done. If I was then to hit search again, you'll notice there are no more students inside those class grades. Okay. So then we'll go back to our list, back to patron, and we'll select our move patrons by homeroom. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll search up all of the homerooms that we wish to move people to. Actually, a little trick that I don't show anyone, but I should, is to simply change this to class grade. Select your left 2022. Search. Okay, that's everyone that's in left 2022. I can then hit change, and I want their new homeroom to be left 2021. You can create your new one as well, of left 2022 for example. Hit confirm. Okay, now those patrons, if I go search again, okay, have the homeroom of left 2021, what I've changed them to. Alrighty, so that sets you up for a new patron import. I would do that at the end of the year or at the start of the year. It's really up to you guys. It just depends on whether or not you're still circulating to your students. Obviously, if you do move all students to left, your left class grade won't have any loan limits. So as you're loaning, you'll notice you'll have issues where items will be due back the same day and stuff like that. So definitely do this if you're finished circulating for the year, or it's a brand new year and no one's coming into school yet, so you have all the time in the world to play with these areas. Okay, so once you've done that step, what's next? Well, patron import. Okay, so now that we've moved everyone to left, we would then want to update our patrons so that everything's back to what it should be. Okay, all your patrons that are still at the school are then updated with their correct class grade, correct homeroom, and any other information that you're adding in at the time. That could be, you want new parent emails for overdue emailing, stuff like that. It'll also add in the new students for the year. Again, if you're doing this now, you probably won't have the new students or all of them, so you want to do this again in the new year. From the menu, patron, and we want to go to patron import. Okay, now first thing you want to play with is these two options here. Most of your file should be a CSV comma delimited file. You do have the option for tab, depending on what export you get from your admin system. Okay, but by default normally is comma. Has header will pretty much mean whether or not the file has a header, and I'll show you what I mean. This is my file that I'm using just for testing. This is a header, okay, so it tells me what's in each field. Alrighty, so make sure you double check those. That if it has a header, you want to make sure it's ticked. If it doesn't have a header, untick it. All that does is skips the first row. Okay. Now mine does have a header. I'm going to go upload file. Okay, and I just noticed an issue with my CSV file. You always should check your CSV file to make sure that everything lines up to where it should. Okay, so you can see I don't have an email, I don't have an external ID. You might not have external ID or email, you don't need those. By default, or by a minimum, sorry, you will need barcode, surname, first name, year level, homeroom. It doesn't have to be in that order, okay, but you do need to have those 5 options at a bare minimum, or else the import won't allow you to import, okay? You can add as much information as you want, street address, phone number, the color of their hair, whatever it is that you want, but those 5, so your barcode, surname, first name, year level, homeroom, all must be added into the CSV file. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly update this because this is not right. The system won't allow duplicate barcodes, so just be careful. Okay, so I'm happy with that as the barcode. Surname, first name, year level's all right, homeroom's alright, email, let's just put in some emails. Call this student. Student school. Silly hyperlink stuff. Remove those. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Happy with the parent first name, happy with the parent surname. It's always good to just go through, check it, make sure that the export you've got from the admin system is correct, or else you'll notice when you do an import that something was amiss. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm now going to save that. Close. Let's refresh this. Okay, I'm going to select my CSV file, click open. Let's jump straight into the next page for me. Now what the system will do is try and link up as many fields as it can automatically for you by using that header. Okay, you can see that's all green, meaning it's seen the header and it can link it to a specific field for me. Okay, for example, barcode, it's seen the header barcode, there's the barcode field, I'm going to put it into barcode, so on and so forth. Okay, so make sure that you double check this is very important. Okay, there are 3 things that allow you to check your work as you go, so that you don't create duplicates and make a mess of the data. I'll show you a little trick if you do happen to not see any of these and don't check it and you've made a mess, but I'll show you how you can fix that as well. But definitely check through this with a fine tooth comb so that you're not making a mistake. Okay, so I can see barcode, yes, this is my barcode. Surname, yes, this is the surname, yes, this is the first name, yes, this is the classification or year level, and so on and so forth. I can see, yep, that's perfect. It's perfectly linked it up. I'm happy. Now the other thing you need to check is your merge by. Okay, so your merge by, which is up here, you've got some options to select from: barcode, email, external ID, full name, username. Okay, so you need to, from these options here, tell the system what you want to merge your patrons by. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, the system will go through and check the CSV file as it's done here, and it will then link to the SmartSuite database in your patron table and try and find patrons to match according by your merge by. For example, I've got merge by barcode here. So it's going to use these fields here to merge my patrons. So if it can find the barcode DH121, then it's going to link all this information to that patron. Alrighty? If it can't find that barcode of DH121, it's going to create a whole new patron for me. Okay, so you do need to be careful, and I'll show you how to check that in the next step, but definitely make sure you're merging by the correct field, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If I go next step here, okay, you can automatically see I have red on the barcode. This is the merge by option, okay, and all the details. Okay, so it's saying new, meaning it can't match that barcode to any barcode in the system, so it's going to create a new patron. Okay, so what I want you to do then is, if that's not correct, so you've seen, oh, Donald Durack is definitely here, he's been here for 11 years, I've done something wrong. So I can go back, I can reselect my merge by, I can try full name. Okay, so that's your first name, surname. Next step, perfect. I can see here that, you know, Donald Durack is actually new. I was thinking about Donald Hobson Tom. Alright, so make sure you check your merge by. What you want to be seeing, a majority of, is green, okay, on the section with the word update, meaning it's found someone to link to and it's going to update that patron with the information you see here. Okay, so you'll see the current value and then what the system is going to change those values to using the CSV file that you've supplied. Okay, so you can see Jacob's barcode is going from Jacob deleted to DHT124. His username is going from Jacob to DH2126. His name is staying the same because it's an exact match. His year level's changing, homeroom's changing, email's changing, so on and so forth. Okay, so anything in red just means that the top value is what it was, the bottom value is what it's going to be. Okay, very important. That's your second thing you want to be checking, is does this information look correct? Okay, so if you notice that it said surname was classification 10 or year 10 or whatever, then you can automatically see that's not right. I've got to go back, I've got to change something in my template. Alrighty. So once you've gone through that, you've checked it, I'm all happy with that, I can then go perform changes. Okay. Now you will get a security code selection pop-up appear, and where do you find that security code? In your menu, mailbox, you want to right-click, click on that, right-click and open a new tab. That's just so that you don't leave this page. Under System, you've got your import security code. Okay, it'll always be the first thing up there. Highlight that code, copy it out, paste it in there, confirm. Okay, it's going to show. So, are you sure you want to do this? It can't be undone. That's just to scare you. Goes through the system, imports what it needs to. Okay, all finalized jobs will run through successfully. That's what you want to see. The other thing you want to see is no validations fail. Okay, and what do I mean by this? If I click on the I and you get this, and when you've done your import, it means the system's checked all the patrons and it's found some issues. If I click on the I, okay, you can see here the original barcode of 124. Okay, and you've got some duplicates here. Alright, so you can go through and fix those by just hitting the edit delete on one. I'll go back, hit the edit delete on a new patron and figure out what I did wrong. Okay, so I can see here Jacob Anderson, and this one here, So barcode is 124, DH124, DH124. Okay, his name, student 4. Okay, so what's happened is when I did my merge by, it's merged the patron name, and there are 2 Jacob Andersons in the system. Okay, so what I would do is that, hit save. I can then go back and recheck. Okay, and then you keep doing that till you fix up the issues, or if it's way too hard, you can go back down the bottom here, okay, and roll back. Okay, this rollback option will roll back the patron import that you did. Okay, and so if you had any duplicates or patrons had wrong information or whatever it was, this will take you all the way back to before you did the patron import. Okay, and then you can go, okay, I've rolled back, let's figure out what I did wrong. Okay, I can go back here and go, wait a second, I don't want to merge by first name, they are all brand new patrons. I want to merge by barcode. Okay, new patrons, perform changes. Okay, I'll get my new security code. Copy that, paste it in there. Okay, it's doing the import again for me. Does its validation check. Okay, just close that. All jobs run through successfully, all validations pass. Okay, so a successful patron import should end with these 2 reports. Okay, beautiful. So that is your patron import. So now that I've done that, I should update all your current patrons to their correct year levels. Okay, so remember we moved everyone to left. We've then imported them again so that the system goes, righto, move everyone that's active, okay, according to their CSV file back into whatever year level and homeroom that their CSV file stated, as well as by adding any other information that they had in that CSV file. Alright? So once you've done your patron import, you are pretty much ready to start loaning out items, okay? The other thing I would like to go through in regards to your end of year, start of year functions is actually checking the articles that we have for those 2 functions. Okay, if I go down to support, and I've got search help. Okay, and I can search end of a year. Okay, you've got your end of year procedures here, and also what to do for start of year. Okay, so if we open up that, okay, you've got some information you go through, and then the steps that we think you should go through at the end of the year or the start of the year, depending on when you're doing this. Moving patrons to the left, which we've done. What have we got here? That's still the function. Move patrons to left homeroom, which we did before as well. Okay, so they're the 2 things, and then you've got your patron import. Okay, updating final borrowing dates. The other thing I want to show you is once you've done all that, so you've moved your patrons to left, you've imported all the new patrons, you then want to go ahead and delete those who have left. Okay, if we go back to Smart Suite, from the menu, configuration, global functions, expand patron. Okay, you want to delete patrons by classification. If I open that up, search my class grade of left, 2022, Donald, sorry. Search, okay, it'll list out those patrons for you. I can go through and check those. I've got Taiwan, I've got Quentin, I've got Tess, I've got all these other ones. I can confirm, yes, they definitely left. I'm happy to remove them. And don't forget, after you've done your import, this list should be smaller. okay, depending on how many students have left throughout the year. I then want to go delete. I want to delete by filter, confirm. Okay. Now you'll notice how I've rerun that. There's still 3 patrons there. Okay, so the system will only delete those who have no current loans. Okay, so it's removed them from the system because there's no loans to chase up, so it doesn't need them to be there. Okay, so these 3 patrons are the ones you're going to want to do reports on, so you can chase up those overdue items or on loan items. Okay, if we go reports, now let's go overdues by classification. Left 2022 Donald, generate. Okay, so you can see here, child 2 has an overdue, so does Quentin, and so does Tyron. Alright, so you want to go through, chase up those kids. You can still send letters home, whatever it is you need to do to get those items back. If you're never going to get them back, return them from the patrons. Okay, so you just copy out the barcode, return those items, and then you can go ahead and delete those patrons as well. Alrighty, so that's your end of year procedures. They're the things that you should be doing towards the end of the year. Again, once you've finished cataloging, once you've finished circulation, and you're no longer circulating items out, or on the front end of next year, you want to be in before the students are in. You want to get everything ready. You want to be following the same steps. You know, we just call them different because it's different times of the year, but it is the exact same steps to follow to get your library up and running for circulation in 2023. Okay. A few other things I'd like to show you guys. I know I do this, or I try to do this every single session, but under the menu in training, we have our smart training. Okay, so inside here, we've created some training sessions for you guys to go through at your own pace whenever you want to, on different areas in the system to get you guys using the system the way you want to be using it. Okay, so simple as literally finding something that you want to learn about, circulation for example. Okay, I want to check out the intermediate levels, and I've got here loaning out resources, start training. Okay, you get a little blurb about what this is about, what you're expected to spend time on. Okay, so a minute worth of training, comprehensive circulation, quick circulator. Okay, that's what it's going to help you in. Right, so I'm happy. I'll click start training. You get the pop up here at the bottom right of your screen with some steps. Okay, so you follow those steps, hit the menu, circulation, and circulation. Okay, once I've done that, I can go next. Ensure you're in the loan mode by clicking this. Yep, I'm in the loan mode. Alright, and the whole background area is blue, correct. Next. Okay, search for patron. Let's try Donald. Okay, Donald Durack, the new patron I added in my patron import. Okay, okay. And then I can go ahead and go and loan out an item. Okay, that's just the barcode that I know off by heart. Boom, done. Okay, so that's how you would do the smart training. Hit finish. Okay, it tells you success. You've done that. Cool, I can close that. I can go back to smart training and check out the next session, or this next lesson that they have there, which is returning resources. Okay, the beauty of this is as you do them, you'll see this here says restart training, meaning I finished that one, I can go on to the next one. Alright, and then once I finish all those, I can go on to here, check out any other smart training that I've got there as well. The other cool thing we've done with this is giving you guys the ability to win awards or badges, for example. And to find those, you want to go to your login option here and click Profile. Okay, and as you complete those smart trainings, under your achievements section, you should see some badges appear. Okay, so you can see here I'm a bronze star in a mailbox, meaning I've completed the number of lessons to reach bronze. Okay, I'm silver in search, meaning I've completed X amount in search to get my silver badge. I still have some more to go to get my gold badge. Okay, so these will help you in a way, I guess, give yourself the drive to complete those sessions, as well as the option to print a PD certificate. This is a new thing that we've done this in this update, where any smart trainings that you've completed will load up onto a PD certificate that you can print off and use for your PD requirements. Okay, this will also allow you to add live sessions like this that I've joined in on, or any PD sessions that we've run throughout the year. You'll be able to get a PD certificate for that as well. Alrighty. Well, that's pretty much it. I really just want to say thank you for everyone that has joined in on the session. And if you have any questions, let me know. Create a mailbox ticket, jump in. If you have any issues with the CSV file, for example, you want assistance in completing a Patreon import, let us know. We're happy to take that on for you, especially at the end of the year or start of the year when things are a little bit crazy. Definitely send those through in a mailbox ticket and we'll get to them for you as well. Alrighty, thanks again guys, have a good day.